Melville Fuller was the 8th Chief Justice of the United States from 1888 to 1910. He was a politician, lawyer, and judge from Illinois. He was nominated by Grover Cleveland on April 30th, 1888, to be Chief Justice. He was born in Augusta, Maine on February 11, 1833, and died July 4, 1910. He married Callista Reynolds in 1858, and she died in 1864. He then married Mary Coolbaugh in 1866 and had 6 daughters. Melvin Fuller first attended Bowdoin College and then went on to attend Harvard Law School. Melvin Fuller only spent 6 months at Harvard Law School. He left without graduating in 1855. He then moved on to Chicago, Illinois. He spent 1 term in the Illinois House of Representatives from 1863 through 1865 and presided over the Plessy v. Ferguson case where the court articulated the doctrine of separate but equal and upheld Jim Crow's laws. Fuller grew up being surrounded by the justice system his entire life. Both of his grandfathers were judges, and his father was a well-known lawyer. Fuller's 22-year term as Chief Justice was distinguished by his skillful handling of often contentious court conferences. In 1893, Fuller turned down an offer from President-elect Grover Cleveland to serve as Secretary of State. Warren Burger was the Chief Justice during the United States v. Nixon case. He was appointed to the court by Nixon during his first term. Warren Burger was born on September 17, 1907, and died June 25, 1995. Although Burger was a conservative, and the Burger Court delivered numerous conservative decisions, it also delivered some liberal decisions regarding abortion, capital punishment, religious establishment, and school desegregation during his term. He was the 15th Chief Justice from 1969 to 1986. He wrote the opinion for a unanimous court which rejected Nixon's invocation of executive privilege.
The court case that we have chosen is the United States versus Nixon in 1974. The U.S. Supreme Court decision in the United States versus Richard Nixon, a landmark case in the U.S. constitutional history and in the history of American jurisprudence. The case was important because it did much to defend the power of the president to claim executive privilege. Issued on July 24, 1974, the ruling was important to the stages of the Watergate scandal, when there was an ongoing impeachment process against Richard Nixon. The U.S. vs. Nixon is considered a crucial precedent limiting the power of any U.S. president to claim executive privilege. It firmly established that the President of the United States could not use executive privilege as an absolute defense against judicial inquiry. The case originated in the lower court and in the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit. The main conflict of this case was whether or not acquiring Nixon's personal tapes violated the principles of the separation of powers and executive privilege. The act that Nixon did was in violation of the First Amendment. The First Amendment is freedom of press. The Supreme Court upheld the right to the newspaper to publish the documents which become known as the Pentagon Papers. Newspapers have the First Amendment right to post the Pentagon Papers and rejected Nixon's argument of being in the national security. Many people think that Nixon was impeached, but matter of fact, he wasn't. He resigned on August 9, 1974. He said he was going to do what was best for his country. The final decision of the Supreme Court was a unanimous vote of 8-0, ruling against President Nixon, which then made him have to give the tape recordings and other subpoenaed material to the court district.